Hey there, firm gamers. In this thrilling episode of Greetings From, we talk about the new Mario Maker, PS5 rumors, Amiibos, and more. A quick content warning, we do talk about sexual content in this episode related to Pro Jared, and have spoilers for Detective Pikachu.
Greetings, travelers! It's May 26th, 2019, and this godforsaken year is almost halfway over. This is episode 14 of the Greetings From podcast. My name is Rebecca Faye, and I'm joined as always by my two very good friends. First, hey, Olivia Quinn!
Well, I was so prepared. I was so prepared for a reference. Thank you.
Sabotage.
I know. I do have a reference. I'd like to ask you a very important question.
Yeah?
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's Clefairy! Oh, I put a lot of money on seeing whether or not you would get that.
Thank you.
I'm really glad that you did. That means very important to me. Hey, Tyler Smith, I also got a question for you, too.
Lay it on me.
Why can't you blindfold a Pokemon?
Oh my god, I don't know the answer to this one.
'Cause they'll Pikachu.
Oh, no, you did not.
That's very good.
Oh, thank you. Join me next week where I'm replaced by someone who has better puns.
Never.
Well, we're back together again. It's been a minute, because I know we released an old From the Vault cast because I had just gotten back from overseas and did not know what day it was.
We were busy.
And then it was crazy. And then we also did last week or 2 weeks ago, because time, how does it work? We did our Red Strings Club spoiler cast, so please listen to that if you haven't yet. But obviously, play the game first. Not like I'm a cop or anything. But a lot has happened in the world of video games. A lot of Pokemon are out there now, just out there in the world, depending on how you feel about that. We'll obviously get into some Detective Pikachu later, but I just want to put out there to both of you that Mr. Mime being a police informant is really what I wanted.
He was a snitch.
Yeah.
That fits his character, so.
And then he fucking died. Did he die? Did Mr. Mime die? Is the real question.
Can Mr. Mime die to Mr. Mime's crimes?
He set him on fire, right? Spoilers.
Yes, he was set alight. He was set aflame by accident in a children's movie.
Yes, it was completely accidental and not at all purposeful in any way.
Rip.
That's what
Rip, Mr. Mime. The moratorium on Mr. Mime has started. We cannot talk about him anymore because he's dead.
Yes,
and his killers were never brought to justice. In fact, they're renowned as heroes now.
It's very true. Torture's okay as long as it's mimed for children. That's what I learned.
Yep. Sure is.
All right. So, I think a couple of you are maybe, might have played a little touch of the old Mario Maker. Pretty sure that they're coming out with another one of those, according to what I saw on the TV. How about that Mario Maker 2 Direct that we got last week? That seems pretty great, said someone who did not play Mario Maker 1. Talk to me about your feels. Is this good? Is this bad? The sun follows you around. I saw you were really hyped about that, Olivia, and I'm pretty sure you're famous now because of it.
Yep, the Twitter gods have blessed me. All my good content is trash now. I have one good tweet about the sun, and that's it. I'm really excited for the sun and for the moon. Did you guys see the moon, things that they're doing, the skins they're putting on the sun?
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. Okay, so just to give a overview, in Mario Maker, they're adding the sun from Mario Bros. 3, the one that'll follow you around, and they're also adding a modified version called the moon, which also changes all of the other aspects of the level. So, if you do the moon underground, it, flips the world upside down. If you do it, when there's a water level, it'll make the water poison. And, there's a bunch of other weird modifiers that, aren't in the original game, but were all added to Mario Maker 2, which seems, totally off the wall. It's bananas. This wasn't in any other Mario Maker games. And also, they have an 8-bit moon, which wasn't in the original game, and an 8-bit sun. They're just going ham on everything. Yeah,
it looks... at least what I know about Mario Maker is that it looks like it was a torture device for a lot of people. And I was excited to see all of the new features that could be used to make it even more of a torture device for more people. now.
I also did not play Mario Maker 1. But I saw how insane people got, or how creative, I should say, not insane, but some people were insanely creative with it. But they're overall creative with the level design and everything, and how it was just like you have to go through the levels. Especially followed Patrick Klepek from Vice Gaming, now not Waypoint anymore, played a shit ton of that stuff.
There's like a multiplayer mode now, which I'm excited about. Like you can do like a co-op like building session, or you can just do like a racing session. I think it's all local. I don't think there's any like online multiplayer, but it seems like you can all just kind of like race across the map, which seems really nuts.
Yeah, I'm interested. Like, I kind of wonder if the co-op building mode is, because to me, the people that seem the most excited about it are people that stream. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if that was sort of a little thing, like a little nugget for the streamers out there who can then sit together and build levels and, you know, do more of an interactive experience. I don't know, but I just know that was the reaction I saw, was like, this is what we needed, actually.
Definitely. Well, I think like the most fun I've had, because I didn't have a Wii U, so I experienced Mario Maker like vicariously through other people building levels. And I didn't have a Wii U, but I definitely had a totally legit copy of Mario Maker, and then I ripped a copy and then ran it on an emulator, and it was super cool, totally legal and all that jazz.
Completely legal.
Yeah, there's a very active scene for Mario Maker modding on the CEMU.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I tried that out for a little bit, totally legal, and it's really fucking cool. But the majority of the content I consumed related to Mario Maker was people making levels, so I'm super excited to see what's happening here. I'm probably going to pick this up immediately after as soon as it comes out, and I think we should build some courses together, because I think that'd be really fun.
I'm down. I'm definitely down to get back into like level design and see what happens.
Oh my
Maybe
god,
we could all make each other like nightmare courses and see if we can get through them. Although hopefully not nightmare courses, but
I forgot they put a fucking car in this game. They put the Koopa Troopa car, which isn't
they did?
isn't in anything else. It's just a car. And it's also gonna have a single player campaign, which is gonna be really cool. Like, it's little challenges, I think, to kind of like inspire people to try things out, which should be really neat.
Yeah, that'll be nice. I'm always down for more single player Mario games since Mario Odyssey came out, right? So right. I'm excited for this too, to come out. I know like I sound like a poser or something now that I haven't played the original Mario Maker. Now I'm going to Mario Maker 2 and I don't know what I'm, missing out on or whatever. I don't appreciate it, but I promise you I will.
So there's been a rumor going around on Twitter where people are asking like, hey, there was like an extra spot in the list of like, not modes, but like the skins you can put on the game. Like, it's Mario 1, Mario 3, like new Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario World. And people are guessing there's an extra skin they're going to announce at E3. And like a lot of people are hypothesizing it's going to be Super Mario Brothers 2. And I was wondering if you could have like any Super Mario Brother Maker game, what would you pick? Like, I personally would go Super Mario 64 Maker. I think that'd be really cool. What about you, Tyler?
That's tough. But Rebecca, what about you?
I don't know. I want to make Super Mario Odyssey levels. That's like asking way too much, but that's kind of what I want out of my life.
That'd be fucking cool. Yeah. Like, I wish there was a tool set to make Odyssey levels, because that whole game is awesome.
Or just like Cappy.
Yeah.
Just Cappy. What if it was just a 2D Cappy?
What if they had Flood? What if you could have Flood and Cappy?
Oh boy.
And then you ride the Yoshi, make the Yoshi throw up. The ultimate video game.
Could you make what about like Super Mario Sunshine or Super Mario Galaxy? Is that the one with Rosalina? Super Mario Galaxy?
Yeah.
Super Mario
People
Galaxy.
are like hypothesizing, like there are some 2D levels in, I don't know why I keep saying hypothesizing, but there are some 2D levels in Super Mario Galaxy, so people are guessing that that's going to be the extra mode they're going to announce, because, Super Mario Brothers 2 is so weird, so there's been rumors that like, hey, you're going to get a Mario Galaxy Maker in there as well. So fingers crossed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be cool. I know people were all like, there's an empty box where there should be content. What could it be? So it's exciting to see.
Yeah, and I'm waiting with...
It would be cool if that was Galaxy.
I'm hoping so as well. And I'm waiting with bated breath to make sure it has Amiibo support, because I swear to God, I want to get all the... Like, there's like 180 Amiibos now, so give me all the costumes. God damn it. I demand it. Nintendo.
Well, it's a good thing that you have that challenge of collecting all the Amiibos in the world ahead of you.
I won't stop till I'm the very best, like no one ever was.
To catch them is your real trust. Trade them as your cause. It works out because there's Pokemon Amiibos, right? That all works out.
So, speaking of, I guess we should maybe talk about the PS5 since we're gonna take a break from Nintendo. Let's switch over to Sony and see what they're doing, because they just announced their PS5 like diagnostics, essentially their hardware. Have you guys read this?
So I saw like a tweet going around about it where it was basically something like there was a picture graph showing like, hey, here's like how quickly it loads on like a PS4 Pro versus our next gen PlayStation 5. And it seems like they're like kind of getting out there, and it seems like a really weird way to announce the console, like considering like how often like these companies make it like a big deal where it's like, hey, the Xbox is going to have this whole like announcement thing. Like, I don't know if you remember the Xbox 360 announcement thing on MTV, but they made it like an event. And it seems really strange that the PS5 is just kind of like, here's a little bit of info.
I was under the impression that this was like a leak.
Sink your teeth
like
into.
This was not... it was not like an official announcement. It was like somebody recorded something off of a presentation that was being given live. And it was like, it's like secrets, I guess. Sort of. I don't know. It was just like a really quick tech demo about how fast the PS5 loads in comparison to just all things, I suppose. Especially in comparison to the PS4. But then there was some confirmation about backwards compatibility again, which everybody kind of knew was going to be the thing. Well, I think people would burn Sony to the ground without it.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that they want to like move forward with technology and whatever, but it's also bullshit that you completely abandon your past video games and like legacies in that way. And like, you know.
Yeah, and I can see like they switched architecture entirely from like the PS3 to the PS4, but it seems like everyone's kind of on that x86 hardware now, and for the foreseeable future, that's how it's going to be. So there's really no reason for them to like totally abandon the PS4, because like you said, people will lose, me, myself included, will lose their shit if the PS5 doesn't have backwards compatibility, absolutely. Considering all the money that we've put into our libraries.
I mean, I'm kind of wondering if the original intent was like backwards compatibility had to die so that PlayStation Now could fly, but PlayStation Now sucks ass. Although I think, you know, I know we also wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that Microsoft and Sony have power teamed up against Google or whoever else, and there was some implication that that partnership, which would potentially allow Sony to use Microsoft Azure's servers for PlayStation Now, maybe means that it won't suck for PlayStation 5. I don't know. But the hope is there, at least for me.
Yeah.
So do you think that they're sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Olivia. Do you think that means that they're going to hang on to their PS Now then and try and make it better? Or do you think they're just going to...
I think they're going to hold it.
Come out with something else?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I think it kind of means they're moving the brand over to like the Azure technology. That's kind of what my guess was on it. Because like Azure is such a big name. And if you don't want to go with Amazon, who's now a direct competitor, or go with Google, who's also a competitor, it's like, well, I'll go with the enemy that I know. You know what I mean? And they already have proven game
Plus,
tech.
I feel like this does benefit them in the wake of Stadia. You know what I mean? Like, for Google to come out and be like, here's this little thing that's just going to run games, and it's just going to be a streaming box. You know, obviously that puts Microsoft and Sony in the position of having to, you know, do that but better, in a sense. Yeah. And so I know that there was some talk about, you know, again, the PlayStation is going to be the best place to play. And I think that is coming down to like backwards compatibility and streaming and all that stuff. And I guess ray tracing, like everything just has ray tracing now. Ray tracing is cool now.
I'm kind of surprised Xbox made the decision, because I think they're like advantage in the marketplace is that they have this like large infrastructure for everything related to like downloads and the online. And it's like, what do they really get out of this? I know it says on the article that we're looking at here that it has like, they get some kind of sensors that hook up to the AI, like it's like photo sensors, but I'm like, why would Microsoft make this decision? It seems really out of the blue for them when they have the advantage.
Unless they are trying to tap at, because you figure the PlayStation was the best-selling console by leagues pretty much for the last generation. And so, I don't know. It could be a market share thing. It could be, Sony has, a cheap, affordable VR system that people can run because it doesn't require computer. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Sony definitely has things that give them a different kind of an edge to Microsoft. And so I'm interested to know if there's some sharing going on there.
I'm sure there's some usual behind-the-scenes thing that we're not a part of that haven't been privy to quite yet. And I'm sure it's beneficial to both, Microsoft and Sony to kind of team up against Google and Amazon, because they know, at least for Google anyway, I'm sure Amazon's going to, roll out their streaming platform cloud service at some point, but Google they don't want Google to have this like gigantic monopoly, because they know what Google can do. So this would be like a alternative to the Google services. So they want to make sure that they have like that stake in the ground and in the game of video games. They don't want any money diverted to anywhere else but where it should go, which is video game companies.
Yeah. It's going to be a very weird E3 without Sony this year, but I'm interested to see if Microsoft does put out more about their console, which I think everybody assumes is going to happen, especially now that we have these things floating around about the PS5.
Yeah. It's gonna be a weird generation, I think, with like so many new parties entering everything, and then like all these half steps already happening. It's gonna be bizarre.
I really hope that the next like generation of consoles, like the next thing that comes out, is going to be the thing for like the next 10 years or something, because I don't want this to be like a half step, like you just said, and just be like, oh, okay, and then like 2 years from now, oh, we have the next best thing, and of course, because of technology, it's leagues ahead of what you bought 2 years ago, and also is $8,000. Like, no thanks.
Well, I keep thinking about like how the half steps released, like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, and I wonder like with the new games on the like quote unquote new generation of hardware, if like they'll support like the half step consoles at like a lower frame rate or lower resolution or something, because I think that those developers would want to tap into the larger market share, like similar to how like you could get a new iPhone but you could just have the old one and run the apps at like a shittier whatever. Like I kind of imagine that's what I kind of imagine, like the Xbox brand just becomes like you buy a game and it kind of works on this one but it works really well in the new one. So
I think we definitely saw that this generation just with Sekiro. Like people were saying that it just ran like ass on the base PS4, like people who had still at original launch PS4s, which already were struggling. But yeah, so that, I don't know what your experience has been like, but this is what I heard, which was that it was sort of optimized for the PS4 Pro. Like it was the kind of what you were talking about, Olivia, like it kind of works on the PS4. But by now you probably have upgraded
if you're a real gamer, you got the Pro, or get the fuck out. Sekiro says.
I guess so. I can't say like that I've noticed anything super like lag or performance issues on my end. Although I will say that it does seem like sometimes when I go to block because they're going to swing at me, and I'm like, I swear I had pressed the block button before the sword hit me or before I got hit, that I was blocking, and like the game registered it as no, the swing, you already got hit and you're just a shitty gamer and can't block correctly. But I don't know if that's just me or if that's the performance issue. I will say sometimes there is like just in general movement, there's a little bit of blurring, but I feel like, I don't know if that's my hardware or if that's like designer intended. I feel like it's a designer intended because, you're like a ninja, you're moving so fast, swinging that sword. But like, I don't know. But it hasn't been like a major issue. It hasn't like been severely noticeable. So who knows?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Everything is made for the Pro though, for sure. Uh-oh. What was that?
I'm not sure. What was that?
Amiibo!
Do you guys hear that? That's really strange. I don't know what's going on. Wait.
Yeah.
Amiibo!
There's some Amiibos.
Yeah, so many
What
Amiibos.
is this?
Actually,
Yeah.
welcome to our new segment called Olivia
Jesus.
Amiibos. Olivia's Amiibo Shelf, and with the new theme music, which I'm going to play now. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Amiibo!
I'm really proud of that and the work that I put into it, guys. So please
Very
clap.
good.
Yay!
That classic Wii Shop music.
Yes, exactly. So it's been a while since we've had an Amiibo shelf, and let me tell you, the spreadsheet has grown. There are so many Amiibos now. Does anyone want to take a guess at how many Amiibos I currently own? If you haven't looked at the spreadsheet yet.
I'm trying to remember how many you had the last time we did this, and I want to say it was maybe 85?
Yeah, I thought it was 82.
82.
Okay, what's your
I could
guess
be
now?
wrong.
110.
Tyler, where are you at?
I don't think she's at 110. I think she's a little lower. Let's say 96.
I have 117 Amiibos currently.
No!
Out of 100.
I win the Price is
Yeah,
Right.
you do win. Out of 187, so there are only 70 Amiibos that, and this is including some unreleased ones. So it's a little less than that. It's probably more like 185 in total. I'm getting there.
How did you get like 30 Amiibos in the last like
So
4
I kept
months?
telling Ruby, I was like, "Oh, I'm done with this," and then I'd buy a couple and be like, "I got what I need," and then
Buy a couple?
I buy.
I'm done smoking. Well,
Yeah.
I still got that cigarette pack.
So a lot.
I can stop anytime I want.
A lot of these were like either re-releases or like we were at a con or something, and then I saw the Amiibo and I was like, wow, that's one I don't have. I need to buy it. So I'm gonna go down the list here of ones that I remembered me not having the last time we talked. I'm gonna try to do speed round, okay? It's
Okay.
King K. Rool, Ice Climbers, Young Link, Ken, Ridley, Cloud, Cloud Player 2, Zero Suit Samus, Lucario, Diddy Kong, Little Mac, Wii Fit Trainer, Toon Link, 20th Anniversary Mario, US Colors, Urbosa, Rivali, Diddy Kong, Mario series, Donkey Kong, Mario series, Daruk, Green Yarn Yoshi, Cecilia Alm, Luke Goblin, not yet shipped. The Luke Goblin hasn't yet shipped yet, so that will, I'll get that eventually, but it's bought.
I'm glad you clarified the US series. You know, it's important that you get your region locked Amiibos.
So, like, with,
I can't believe they have Cloud Player 1 and 2.
no,
I'm
there's
sorry.
like, with Cloud and Corrin, and Bayonetta as well, they all have two different versions with like their two different costumes or whatever. And it's a fucking
Wow.
nightmare because so just to go back to the root of all this, whenever we first moved out here, I was going to Target a lot and I didn't usually shop at Target back in Arizona. And they had a bunch of Amiibos there and I kept looking at them being like, that's a cool Bayonetta, but I don't need this garbage. And then I got a Switch and I was like, well, I'll just buy the Zelda ones. And then my addiction spread, and now it's everything.
So Breath of the Wild was your gateway into
Yeah.
Amiibos?
Definitely. Yeah. And I didn't actually, so they've been re-releasing like all of these, like reprinting them, which I didn't expect. So specifically the like Daruk, Urbosa, and Rivali are from the Champions Ballad release for Zelda. And I
Right.
wasn't planning on getting them. And then Ruby came home today and was like, you seem kind of down, so I just bought you these. And it was a very nice gesture.
Oh.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's
So
sweet.
I've got a lot of Amiibos. Oh, and then the best thing was I was at a con this weekend and I've been looking for the last two of the Fire Emblem series because I bought the Crom and the Dragon Lady with green hair. I can't remember her name. And then I was missing Cecilia and Alm, which are like part of this pre-order bonus. They were really hard to find. And then I was at this con and then this guy just had them and he was selling them for like $12. And I was like, hey, can I get them both for like 20? And he's like, sure. And I'm like, bitch, these are worth 50 online. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm not ever going to sell them, but they're mine now.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they were selling them that low because I remember being on a hunt for Rosalina when she was really hard to get and going to cons and them selling her for like $60.
This guy was like,
And I was
he had
like,
a bunch of stuff.
I ain't playing
Yeah,
that.
like a lot of the places around me and at the con that were like local were selling their shit for a lot more money. They didn't have Amiibos though. This one guy who was from West Virginia was just kind of like selling like, you know, NES cartridges for like $5 when the place around the corner at the
What?
con was like 40 for a copy of Zelda. Where he's like, yeah, I'll give it to you
Yeah.
for like 10. And I'm like, dude,
Oh my god.
Wow.
So, and there's one thing we'll get into in the Salutations that I bought that I'm like, this is $40 online and it's $10 here. And I almost bought all of them, and I was explaining to him what it was, and he was like looking it up online, being like, I should raise the prices. So I kind of fucked that one up by telling him how much it was worth. But yeah, that's
Almost heaven. West Virginia.
They got the Amiibos in West Virginia. The hills run deep with Amiibos.
Yeah. I believe it.
Thank you for indulging me. That concludes the Amiibo shelf.
I secretly hope that this was going to continue, because I remember when on the podcast you said, all right, everybody, I just want everybody to know that I'm calling it quits. I've had enough. I'm going to get into weird technology now. So I'm glad you're back on your bullshit.
I'll link the spreadsheet so you can all see like the level of insanity I've gone to in creating no one else has this resource. So if you also want to get into making Amiibos, you could copy the sheet, and then you could, not making but collecting Amiibos, you could also start your journey down this horrid path.
I'm still holding you to figuring out the details on how I can get my hands on that sweet Simon Belmont.
I'll let you know. I got a hookup. I got Dark Forces available to get you some Amiibos.
All right. Well, we'll divine some things and get some Amiibos going. It's a dark ritual, but it's a good ritual. So I feel worse now because you had really cool theme music, and now I don't have theme music for this segment that I would like to introduce to the podcast, because I wish I had specifically the bell ringing from Game of Thrones. The shame. Because sometimes we just gotta talk about some bullshit.
Maybe you get a bell.
So, yeah, I could just do it live. Shame. Well, we have some people that deserve to be shamed. This sounds bad, like this sounds mean, and I don't mean it in a mean way, but man, some shit has happened.
Let the record show they're all fucking adults. So...
Yeah, and one is a totally grown-ass video game store.
Yes.
Epic. Dumbasses. Have you not run a sale before? They actually haven't, so this is baby's first sale. Yeah, so there's an epic sale going on. It was a pretty epic sale, until a lot of game creators pulled out of it because it was maybe not very well telegraphed. The gist is that a bunch of games were put on a significant discount, and Epic pledged to pay $10 toward any game purchase that was over $14.99, so over $15. Which seems like a pretty sweet deal, right? Because any developers' games who are discounted, they still see that money. It's not like they're losing money. The problem is, it's kind of a bad look for games that are on pre-order or haven't come out yet or are being done by a small team. There was some discourse going around about, a sale like this devalues games instead of sort of praising them. Like, even if the dev still gets money, it changes people's perception of it, which is something I had not thought of. Yeah. Are you guys shopping the Epic sale? They have no shopping cart.
They do have no shopping cart.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
Okay, so, Epic launched their game store not too long ago. It's been like a back and forth between them and Valve, and they're like, fuck you, Valve, we got all these exclusives. They're like, okay, I got it. Like, they're trying to make their name for themselves, and like, cool, whatever, go Fortnite and all that bullshit. This sale, though, it is their first one, so take into account that they don't know what they're doing. But then also take into account, these are all, people who work in video games and are just in general consumers in our consumerist world, our capitalist hellscape, if you will. There's no wish list in their application yet. There's no nope. shopping cart, and then there's no. I don't know what went down through their marketing team or through their sales team or whoever's in charge of this sale, this discount sale, but they didn't communicate to the developers of the games that they're discounting what exactly was going on, or they did, and like it was confusing, and the game devs or publishers didn't understand exactly just how much their games were being discounted. For example, Hades, makers by Supergiant, the ones responsible for Bastion and Transistor, and I can't remember the last one that there's Pyre. Hades is their new game. I think it was priced at $20 originally, and then it was discounted by like $5 or something, so it was $15. And then on top of that, Epic gave you $10, so it was like a $5 game. And this game, while it's in early access, you could buy it and then play it. It is technically not released yet. Like, it's not a finished game. It's not a finished product. It's an early release game like you would see on Steam. But even then, Supergiant was like, yo, what the fuck? This is not okay. It needs to be at, a $20, $15 price point, not at a $5 price point. So Supergiant Games, they didn't pull their game, but they got their game, like, renegotiated. So if you saw the sale within the first 5 hours, you could have bought this game for $5, but now it's $15. And then I know that Vampire Masquerade, they pulled out because their game is not released and it's discounted by $10 through Epic. And so did, I don't remember now. Do you guys remember the other ones that had pulled out? There was Borderlands and a few others.
Oxygen not included, so Clay pulled theirs out as well.
Right.
The people that don't starve.
Right. And it's weird if you have bought these games either before the sale or during the sale. It's weird because you own the game, but the game is not available to play. Now, these games aren't going to be remaining off the Epic store. They will return once the sale ends, but the developers, the publishers, did not want people buying these unreleased games at a discounted price already, because the point of a sale is a sale. It's for when no one wants to pay the full price of the game after many months it's been released. That's just kind of how it works. It's supposed to, the game's released, people get hyped, they get to give people money either preemptively or just at launch. And then the following weeks after that, and then it kind of sales die down a little bit, and then you have a sale, and then the sales of your game go up because people are buying it at a smaller discounted price, but that's okay because you got majority of your revenue from the people who really, really, really wanted to play it. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on this, or did you encounter any other problems, or on the Epic Store?
This whole thing just feels kind of bad. I was going to buy some stuff, and I think I still will, but, I know I've told you guys this, I don't think I've told this over the cast, but, I bought Ashen from this shop right when it came out in, January, and I could just never really get it to run quite right, but there's really no infrastructure for fixing that, or helping myself, or, downloading a patch or something, you know what I mean? So it just, I don't know, I'm generally pro Epic Store, but a lot of stuff just tends to feel sort of bumbling, especially considering they have so much money to throw around, so much money to put into these exclusive deals, that you would think that they would maybe spend some money to hire some developers to improve the Epic Store. But that's just
I think the thing that was killing me was looking at their Trello board for their new features, and then seeing a shopping cart was in the 6 months category. It'll be on the next 6 months, where I'm this seems like a really basic feature. I think Tyler, you were saying this is what is in every Shopify out of the box software, and I'm sure it's way more complex than they can't just turn the shopping cart on and go. But it feels like that would be my top priority if I was in that position, being get the shopping cart started immediately, because I feel that's part of the whole Steam sales experience of, I'm gonna fill my shopping cart up and fuck it, here's my credit card, go. At least that's for me, because I'm a bad person who just absorbs all that, and I'm yes, give me all of the deals. So I don't know about Epic. I don't know what their priorities are, and their communication seems extremely poor.
I mean, for something that's supposed to be, a competitor to Valve, they don't have things like cloud saves or search by genre and tag. They don't have user reviews, wish lists, bundles, which, I mean, granted, they don't have a lot of games, so bundles, not that high of a thing. But they don't, and then if you look at the shopping cart, it's just what? And then gifting. even is date to be determined on their. They don't even have automated refunds either. Do you know that? They don't have automated refunds, meaning that if you want to refund something, because they do have, I guess they have the refund capability, but if you're refunding something, someone has to manually refund you your money. So, and I mean, that doesn't sound like a huge deal, but when you are catering to millions of people who are using your platform, because I'm sure a million people do use Epic Games, I'm not saying like a million people are returning or refunding their shit, but like even if it's 1% of a million, that's a lot of people that you have to deal with.
So what?
And
one
anyway.
thing that I wonder about this is, not that long ago, Mr. Epic Man, Andrew Tim something or other guy, the CEO, whatever his name is, came out on Twitter and started talking a lot of smack and was saying stuff like, well, if only Steam would raise their cuts to developers to what we're giving, like, then we're gonna knock off this exclusivity shit immediately. And saying stuff like that and then sort of panning over to, like, a very poorly constructed web store that's, like, not even as functional as me running a Etsy store out of
Exactly.
my PayPal account, like, does give me some questions on sort of what the overall motive is here and, like, what the overall driving feature is. Because, to call a shopping cart a quality of life upgrade feels very weird. It feels very strange.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I'm interested to see Epic in the long run. I mean, they just purchased the rights to Rocket League, which is a big ass deal.
That's like a whole other thing, because like they're talking about how it's no longer going to be available on Steam, but it currently is available on Steam. Like, I don't know. I own it on Steam currently, so I'm like, what happens now? Like with my Rocket League copy, like, will I get the DLC, like the new patches and stuff like that? So like,
it'll be interesting.
It's kind of messy.
It is quite the mess. I really want Epic Games to succeed. I don't want them to be. I want them to be like, the Sony to the Microsoft, and Valve is being Microsoft, or is Valve Sony in this sense? I feel like right now Valve would be Sony, and Epic's game store is Microsoft. But I want them to like succeed. Right now it's rocky and it's unfortunate, and it just sounds. It's just really weird to see a well-known company that has, like Rebecca said, money behind it, that they just don't have their store all together yet, which is fine, but maybe they could have held off just a little bit longer for releasing it if there was literally quality of life shit going on, or hold off on the sale until you had shit together. I don't know. Who knows, though, why they needed a sale right now. Maybe they just need more money.
Well, they deserve to be on the wall of shame. I hated to do this to them because I thought that the ire behind their exclusivity stuff was not 100% deserved, since they are giving developers so much of a cut of their funds. But we all make mistakes. So this is one. So, how you guys could fuck me on this is beyond me, Randy Pitchford. Randy opened his mouth on Twitter again. He always opens his mouth on Twitter. Olivia, I know that you said you had some feelings about all of this. Would you like to share your feelings on Randy Pitchford tweeting deep into the night about how he got personally accosted by Game Informer or whatever?
So just to give an overview, Game Informer was... Okay, I guess to take a step back, Randy Pitchford at one of the launch events for Borderlands 3 said there would be no DLC, like no pay-to-win. It was like a pretty unclear statement where he's like, there'll be no pay-to-win stuff here going on, whatever. Like, I don't have his exact phrasing, but it was like a kind of general loose statement. And a lot of people take that to mean like, oh, there'll be no microtransactions. Game Informer, upon getting more information about how they are including, DLC in Borderlands, where it's like, pay a small amount to get some cosmetics, which I think some people would interpret as microtransactions. They reported on that saying that, like, hey, Borderlands 3 does have a form of microtransactions. And then Randy Pitchford decided to get on Twitter and respond to the author being like, I can't believe you would fuck me like this. And then continue to just say shit, like basically blaming Game Informer for his poor ability to communicate, which I think has been a thing that's happened a lot with Randy Pitchford, where he kind of just says whatever and then doesn't have a PR team or anything backing him up. And you get these kinds of results. And that's the part that frustrates me the most, where I'm like, you know, having worked in communications and done a little bit of that work, I'm like, you usually want to have a clear statement that kind of explains exactly what the features are, or like sticks to the message. And with Randy Pitchford out there just kind of throwing shit, being like, oh, we're not doing microtransactions, but then not having like any kind of follow-up statement or materials or takeaway things, like that's where this confusion comes from, Randy. You're doing it to yourself, Randy. Please stop it, Randy. You could fix this.
I have his tweet here. Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay, so he starts off. Come on, guys. Shitty clickbait headline. Literally seconds before I said that, I made it very clear. We're going to do more cosmetic stuff like we did in Borderlands 2. You know I was talking about premium currency and loot boxes kind of stuff not being in our game. Why you guys would fuck me on this is beyond me. Thanks a lot. And it just goes
that should be... I want that to be done. Like, you know how people will do cross...
I'm printing that and putting it on my refrigerator.
Yeah, like, you know how people do cross stitches of, like, rap lyrics? I want, like, a really beautiful floral cross stitch that just says, why you guys would fuck me on this is beyond me. Oh, is there nobody...
I saw some other tweet where he was responding to Game Informer where some guy was like, I'm confused about microtransactions, and then he was like responding to the author being like, see, you're confusing the customers of Borderlands 3. I can't believe you do this. And it's so much.
What I don't understand is that there no one, like literally nobody at Gearbox who would reel this dude in. You know what I mean? Because it's just been basically one public embarrassment after another. And, you know, there's not even been any meaningful PR responses to stuff like the Claptrap guy coming out and saying that Randy Pitchford assaulted him at like a Marriott or something. You know what I mean? Like,
and also didn't pay him properly the first time. Like, he was literally coerced to do more Claptrap voiceover for pay that he was guaranteed like 2 years ago, and he finally got that paid out to him because he did more work that went unpaid. Anyway, yes, continue.
So, you know, is there a PR team there? Because it seems really bad. I feel like PR in general has been really bad. Like, I don't know if you guys have followed any of the stuff around Rage 2, but, like, whoever is running the Rage Twitter is, like, trying to be really cringy and is, like, being mean to journalists. And it just is, like, these are all really bad tactics. And I don't know if people realize that this is just not, like... Somebody stop, please. Like, this has to end.
I feel like if the team could stop Randy Pitchford, they would have already done it. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like he has total control over that studio, and no one can say no to him.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad.
It also seems like he kind of views that as, like, his hashtag brand or whatever, where it's like, oh, I kind of like speak off the cuff and I'm a magician, I'm really cool, and that's why people like me. And it seems like there is a certain subsection of the audience that's like, yeah, Randy Pitchford, tell him. Like, I was looking at some of the responses and it's like people are like, fucking journalists, like confusing folks. But I'm wondering how much of that audience is really like, how much of this leaks out to the larger audience of just Randy Pitchford being an idiot, and what that means for the game.
I don't know. The Borderlands audience feels very set, you know what I mean? Like, people that are diehard for Borderlands probably don't care what Randy comes out and says about it, and they probably don't even know that he's saying this stuff. They know that there's a new Borderlands coming out, and they know that they're going to buy it, and that's it. And I think that's fine, because that does something for some people, but then there's also that kind of weird teetering zone of, like, I don't know, when you get to a point at which your studio is making a lot of money and has a lot of renown for making a very famous game or game series, that you would think that there would need to be some level of checks and balances. So, you know, it's not just party of one. You're not just completely new on the market building out something that nobody's ever seen before. This is like old hat, not getting any better, still the same kind of loot shooter we've been playing for the last decade. I don't know what the room is there for Randy to be zany and an asshole.
But But like you think about all the stuff around the lawsuits against Randy Pitchford,
I know.
especially like with allegations of child pornography, and then like to have him be the face of this game,
I know.
it's like, is there really anyone like with their hand on the wheel here?
don't know.
Like, is the publisher going to step in at any point? I don't know. It just seems like they're doing their thing.
He's in control. That's all there is to it. He's just in control. It's his company. Why shouldn't he be the face of everything on it? You know.
Like, and he
just doesn't-
ostensibly hasn't done anything illegal. He's just kind of doing his thing.
No.
I just don't think it's a good move.
Yeah. I don't know. He's just maybe he just doesn't understand what a brand is. I don't know.
That or he just doesn't care. The bad thing is that he feeds into a type of gamer, quote unquote, that is that very like brash, like, you know, almost kind of the gamer-gatey, like journalists are fucking liars, and it starts to hedge into like centrist alt-right territory. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a very thin line that's a very scary line, and I think that's something that those kind of people maybe would see in Randy and like about that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he's attacking games journalists, right? And so that's what the gritty gamers love, is attacking games journalists and games critics, because video games are not art and not political in any way, shape, or form. There's just, I could go on about it, but yeah, Randy Pitchford needs to be removed, or like someone needs to take away his phone and revoke access from his Twitter account, and maybe not have him out in public at the like E3 or something on stage doing talking points for their video game for a while. But that's not going to happen. It's going to continue, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we have a long way to go to September, so we shall see. So the other thing to put on the wall of shame, and I'm conflicted on one hand because this is a lot of people's personal business, but gaming YouTube went up in flames earlier this month. I don't know if either of you have been following the drama regarding Pro Jared, his wife, and Holly Conrad, a sort of famous cosplayer in the community.
I have not. Now, I know that people have been talking about this, but until literally last week, I had no idea who these people were, or that they existed, or that this was a thing. So please enlighten me, because I'm afraid to like delve into it myself.
So it's very messy. It's a very messy situation that involves a lot of people and split a lot of people off into sort of camps. So the gist of it is this. So Pro Jared is a famous, quote unquote, YouTube game guy. I think
he's an influencer.
Yeah, I want to say he had like 1 million and change followers. So he wasn't like big time Markiplier, you know, PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, whatever. But, you know,
but he had at least 1 million eyes on him, which is significant.
And he was part of a D&D like Wizards of the Coast sponsored thing called Dice Camera Action, which was very much in the style of all the other D&D stuff that's out there. But they, you know, live streamed them playing, and there was a thing you could watch on YouTube and the whole thing. So he was out there, he was in the public eye. He did a lot of stuff with other YouTubers, people like the Game Grumps, he was a part of Normal Boots, which was is like a streamer collective of YouTube guys. I don't know. People like the Completionist are there. JonTron used to be a part of them before he went kind of AWOL, and then he got sort of dropped like a hot potato. I think Peanut Butter Gamer. I'm talking about all these people like I watch their channels, but I really don't. I just love gossip, apparently. So essentially what happened is Pro Jared posted a very long thing that said he was divorcing his wife, Heidi O'Farrell, who is a cosplayer. She's a pretty well-known cosplayer. And that was when shit hit the fan, y'all. He had blocked Heidi on Twitter, and then once Heidi got word of this, she went off. And she started telling the story about Pro Jared as being an abusive husband who had, like, basically ruined her life and strung her along and was cheating on her with another woman, Holly Conrad, who's also a part of Dice Camera Action, who used to be married to Ross O'Donovan, who is a part of the Game Grumps, Rubber Ninja. He's an animator. And she had recently moved to Seattle, which is where they lived, and it seemed like a very kind of weird, ugly, cheating homewrecker situation. more and more people started to come out about this. People that were friends of Heidi, people that were friends of Jared, and people started, trying to like defend both sides. People were getting very vitriolic, and like Heidi is totally spiraling on Twitter and just like on and on and on and on, all these tweets about all these things that happened to her and like her telling all these stories and stuff. And it seemed really bad, right? It seemed really, really bad. And then what started to come out was the fact that ProJared had been exchanging nude photos of himself with fans and asking.
Oh.
Yeah. And he was.
The tea.
Yeah,
The tea is
so,
scalding.
No tea, no shade, no pink lemonade. He was, sharing nude photos of himself and soliciting them from fans. And then it started to come out that some of these people were not of age and were maybe being pressured by somebody who had a lot of power and a lot of influence. And then his nudes went all over the internet, and like you couldn't look at Twitter for like 2 seconds without seeing stuff that you never can unsee. And I feel it's terrible. And then it kind of went quiet. So that was kind of all we heard. Heidi occasionally would say one thing or another. Some of the people that had come out against Heidi and in favor of Jared had like backed off when they'd seen the receipts. And they had apologized and said like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was like this. I didn't realize it was this bad, whatever. So I want to say last night or 2 nights ago, from when we were recording this, obviously this is going to go up later. Holly Conrad, who is the other woman, so to speak, she started posting receipts. And so she had set her Twitter to private. She was getting like inundated with people telling her to kill herself and stuff like that. And so she started posting these receipts. And the things that she was posting made Heidi seem like she was controlling and vindictive and abusive, and she kept threatening to ruin Jared's career. She kept threatening to like tear everybody down and go public with stuff and like smear their name. And it was weird because she didn't really comment on the fact that, Jared had been called out for doing some maybe uncool stuff with minors. And it seemed like maybe there was some legal proceedings that were going on. Maybe that was why she couldn't say stuff. And then that got to Heidi, of course. And then Heidi went off again, and Heidi started providing receipts, and Heidi started explaining stuff. And so, I'm in a weird situation now where there's a lot of both sides that have been given. There's a little bit of a story about Heidi and Jared having had sort of a polyamorous relationship, and then that maybe didn't go quite as planned. And so people got their feelings hurt in a really bad way. But man, I'm struggling. Like this is one of the very few times that I've seen something not be black and white. You know what I mean? Because usually it's like this person is an abuser, this person is a victim, and I think without a doubt, ProJared is scum of the earth for what he did. Like you can't he used his influence in just an absolute disgusting, unacceptable way. But whatever is happening between Heidi and Holly and that relationship and what is going on, I have no idea, because out of context, you just don't know. I think it still seems like, I don't know. I don't even want to pass judgment because it just seems absolutely insane. And to me, what I feel like more and more is the case is that it feels like Jared was manipulating Heidi and Holly both. And some of these things that happened and the things that they were feeling was, done in part because they themselves were being abused. I don't know. It's very public and it's very out there. And again, people started to come to people's defense. People went to Heidi's defense, people to Holly's defense. People are like, how dare you say this stuff? I don't know. So far, it's just been insane. And with no sign of slowing down. But even Heidi mentioned that she does believe that some kind of criminal investigation is happening with Jared and the photos. So I would be interested to see if something does indeed come of that. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
It's like so much. There's just so much going on, and this is like real people's lives, and like this, like the part that like gets me, and this has to do with that like other makeup thing that was happening. I don't follow Makeup Tube, or I never really heard of ProJared before this all happened.
James Charles and what her name is. Yeah.
It just seems like there's a lot of like people who are like at the celebrity level, but like don't have the resources of a celebrity or like the PR team of a celebrity, that this like all of this stuff just gets spilled on the internet, and like they have these like really like intense fan followings that are going to go through everything and find all the receipts. Like, dude, I don't know. I wouldn't want to live that life. Like I know that we put out a lot of information about ourselves, but like, goddamn, I don't want to be that big because like, if any small thing happens, it's just going to like spiral out of control.
Right.
You know,
It is weird. It's a lot of people that I think are not equipped, or like they get a lot of money really fast. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes there's not even, I don't know, like I feel like even when you're at a level of being super famous, like a celebrity, obviously there's still missteps that people make, but I feel like people in general have the kind of money and the kind of resources to like get mental help and get support and, you know, address issues that allow them to better manage that oppressive feeling of fame that I feel like we don't see as much with people in sort of the influencer sphere. And the other thing too is that, you know, celebrities don't have to be online all the time to make millions of dollars, where like literally the only reason why any of these people are famous is because they constantly talk about themselves, show themselves to us, you know, tell that story of who they are. Like when you make money based on explicitly who you are as a person, that's tough. That's hard. I don't know.
Yeah. And I also wonder, like, you know, celebrities have publicists who can like catch stories and kill them, or they have lawyers who have like contracts in place or things like that. Whereas I'm guessing most of these people don't have those kinds of resources, or like they're not in that system, like the Hollywood like protective shell. So I wonder, you know, if we, and like the tea is also like part of their like brand or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like like I'm sure Pro Jared has gained maybe not specifically Pro Jared, but all of these people have been elevated to a level of like celebrity that I never heard of them before, but now I know their names at least.
Yeah.
And like I've seen
Right.
like there's no such thing as bad press. You know, I know this is actually being a child molester and sending shit, that's bad press. You shouldn't do that. It's disgusting. But like I really do wonder, like a lot of people have come back from this stuff in a way that I never thought they could.
Yeah.
You know, like we look at Nick Robinson and how he's like has a successful YouTube career, and I'm like, wow, I didn't think you would actually make it back from this, and now you are, and I'm never gonna watch your shit again. So I really wonder, like in the next 5 years, like is Pro Jared gonna be a thing still?
People forget, and it's just the thing that happens. So.
Yeah. I wonder too, and I don't mean to make this a binary thing because I don't know if it necessarily is, but I do feel like people are quicker to forgive men than they are women. So like
Totally.
So like I still follow Holly Conrad, and like every time she posts something, all of her mentions on her Instagram, on her Twitter are filled with clown faces. And they call her adulterer, they call her whore, they call her cheater. And whether or not that stuff is true, it's like insane what people are doing. You know what I mean? And again, it's like if that is all the case, fine, but you know, to enjoy that, to like I don't know, to get some kind of validation out of doing that just feels really disgusting. And so the fact that there are people out there that would just be like, oh, Nick, whatever, you can slide into anybody's DMs anytime, you're cool. It's like, what the flying ass fuck, dude?
Well, it's because they relate to him, because they too are also a victim of women. I don't, it's the whole, I can't really speak to it because I'm a male, right? But I'm also not like perpetrating this bullshit either. So, and it's not all men, it's not all men, but it is men. So raise your fucking bar and don't stand for this bullshit. It's all it takes. And call people out. Call people the fuck out. If you're with your friends and they're being like, I don't know, snotty, I'll put it lightly, call their fucking ass out. Be like, that's not cool. That is sexual harassment and or, I don't know, whatever, racist. And just do that and just be like, whatever. And then just continue on conversation. And like, you know, at some point, if they continue to do it or don't change or correct their behavior or anything, and if they're going to lash out at you, then like, I don't know if they're really your friend. I don't know. I'm going off on this wild tangent, but I'm just saying, like, if you surround yourself with people who are that way and you have tried to correct or at least make aware that they are, you know, either racist or sexist or misogynistic or whatever, and they aren't changing, then maybe it's time to find someone else to be friends with.
Yeah.
And stop supporting those who are that. It doesn't matter who they are. I mean, I hope if I'm ever either like gatekeepy or I don't know, something, if I'm racist because I'm white, I can totally be racist because it was, you know, pounded into me by society. If I'm ever that way, just call my shit out. Be like, that was fucking uncalled for and you should feel bad. And I'll be like, oh, you know what? You're right. I might be a little upset at first thinking like, oh, no, I don't think so. But then I'll be like, no, it probably was because I don't know. I am less tuned to that because, again, it's just how society has built me. But also, don't blame society. Do better. So
Yeah.
just don't be racist. It's not that hard.
I think, like, don't harass people. You know what I mean? Like, I know
Don't
we're
harass
talking.
people.
Yeah, and I know we're talking about the story, but, like, this is information that people have, like, put out there willingly and they're tweeting at it. Don't, like, send shit to people. Like, one thing I wanted to tell people, if you're looking at Pro Jared's Twitter account, which I just was, like, there is a lot of, like, pictures of, like, his genitalia that people are responding to him with.
Yes.
Like, so just be warned, because it seems like a lot of, like, nudes and terrible things being thrown around that, like, are nobody's business. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a whole other, with the nudes, it's a whole other level too. It kind of delves into like, it's a little bit of like sex work or, cause it's just weaponizing someone's nudes against them is grosser than just people with words saying, like, oh, you're a whore or, adulterer,
like,
or whatever.
It's textbook sexual harassment. Like,
Yeah.
that's there's like no line there. Like, they're definitely like using a person's sexuality and their image against them, and that's like horrible, and we shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I usually try to be, understanding when like someone's done something bad. Like, that's my kind of default stance, especially when it comes to relationships. But like, I don't know, this whole thing just seems fucking gross. So I'm happy that we can stop talking about it and never have to think about Pro Jared again. And he's gonna go into obscurity, right, guys? We're never gonna have to see Pro Jared again. This is all gonna work out. The ladies are gonna be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Next.
I hope so. In his place, there are like hundreds of even
Of
more
course.
talented content creators who deserve his following and his spotlight. And don't be a scummy white guy. Please. Thank you. All right. Well, that was some shaming. Just gotta.
That was a shame
That was
corner.
a shame corner. It's not quite as nice as the Amiibo corner because it doesn't have a spreadsheet, but it wouldn't. I think as long as it doesn't have a spreadsheet, then I can be shamed for running a poor wall of shame. So I think it all kind of works out that way.
I've already started the spreadsheet. I'm working on some music
Oh,
now.
no.
I'm excited for next time we have the Wall of Shame music.
Well, the next time Randy Pitchford opens his mouth, then we'll have another wall of shame. So I'm pretty sure that everybody here has seen a little movie that's maybe called Detective Pikachu.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's a movie that I never thought would I have ever gotten made because I remember the old anime
Neither.
one from like the 2001 or whatever, and I kind of thought that's pretty much all we're gonna get. But boy, was I wrong.
Are we
Yeah.
going to talk about spoilers? Do we have a spoiler warning
Yeah,
right
we
now?
should just put the spoiler warning. The movie is
Spoiler
an
warning.
hour and a half, so it's fine. It will not take that much time out of your day. So, spoiler warning, we're going to talk about details about Detective Pikachu, like the fact that Mr. Mime maybe died in a mime fire. I think that's how
Yes.
that works. What are the laws?
We did kind of spoil that at the very beginning of the thing.
Well,
That's okay.
what are the
though.
laws of mime fire? Like the box was real, and the chair was real, and it seemed like he was going to get on a motorcycle that was
Everything
real.
was real.
But is the fire real? Because couldn't he then stop miming, and then it would not be real?
No. Because if you read the description of the Pokemon Pokedex, it says that Mr. Mime, as long as someone imagines that this something is real, that he could then make it real in real life. So, as far as I'm concerned, that kid, I forget his name now, Harry Goodman?
That was the dad.
Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the dad. Tim Goodman. Tim poured gasoline on Mr. Mime and then lit a match in like a threatening way to get him to talk, to tell him where like he got his information from. Mr. Mime got his information from. And then, oops, I dropped it. And like that was it. That's the end of the scene. And you see Mr. Mime freaking out because he's probably burning alive. And we don't know. We don't know.
This movie was really interesting to me because it definitely was made. It definitely was a children's movie. It was an adult movie masquerading as a children's movie because a lot of the dialogue for Ryan Reynolds as Detective Pikachu was very off color and like, torturing Mr. Mime, the whole thing. There was some stuff.
They make a joke about seeing vaginas.
Yeah.
Like,
They really did.
There's one about like, oh, the last time you saw a woman was like in the birth canal, or you talked to a woman was in a birth canal, and I'm like, oh man, They go. I was seeing that movie like on a Saturday night, and there was like a little kid and his mom next to me, and the mom's was like, "Oh no!" Like she was having a little bit of a freak out as the kid was like laughing at jokes he didn't really understand.
Yeah, just what you want your 7-year-old to now repeat at school.
Ryan Reynolds definitely channeled a little bit of Deadpool in this, just a little bit. Because obviously Deadpool is rated R and like much more grotesque. But I really enjoyed his performance as Detective Pikachu. I felt like there were some animations with Pikachu, the model itself, that were just like a little off when like comparing it to the voice. But overall, it was a pretty great fit. But I have a question. How do you guys feel about this movie franchise basically offing its character and can never be made ever again? Like, Detective... This is a spoiler. This is literally the end of the movie. But, Detective Pikachu can only talk because he's Tim's father. And now he's not Tim's father anymore. So there can't be a sequel to this movie or any spin-offs or anything else because he can't talk ever again, right?
I assume that, is there going to be more in this universe?
Maybe.
I would imagine so. This seemed like I think they were confirmed to have a Detective Pikachu too. Like that, something's going to happen there where I think either Ryan Reynolds is going to play another character or there's going to be. I would love for you to Google it because I'm pretty sure I heard this, but I could be off. Or there's another movie in the Detective Pikachu universe that's going to exist.
Well, so this movie was based on Detective Pikachu the game, not 100% word for word, but the characters and the general plot are kind of the same.
Yeah, there were a few people who I was like the news reporter girl who, and I don't remember her name. I was like, who is this girl? Is she supposed to be like a Misty type? But obviously not at all. Anyway, Lucy is her name.
Oh, right.
I've been wanting to talk about the ending for a week now, with the forced I saw a tweet. It was forced Pokemonification. Fuck, I can't pronounce it. It's basically some forced fucking changing fetishization shit that I was like, I cannot believe this is in a child's movie. Was anyone else expecting that? Was anyone else a little weirded out by the whole thing?
Yeah, it took a real weird turn there.
Yeah. Before I give my thoughts, there is actually going to be, jumping back to your sequel, there will be a sequel. It was announced in January 2019.
Oh, jeez.
That there will be a sequel. So, anyway, the story, the twist, I guess much in fashion of Pokemon, right? Pokemon is dark. It always has been dark. It's just wrapped around this lighthearted, the cutesy animal, thing. But it has always been dark. I mean, if you take, for example, the first Pokemon movie, 1990, I think that was 1999, or it could be 2000. I don't remember. I was super young. That movie was literally about breeding or genetically engineering Mewtwo, and then Mewtwo to dominate the entire world. But then he saw Ash cry, even though he was stone, over his Pikachu, and changed his mind about that, and decided, humans are, can live in harmony with Pokemon. And others, all of Pokemon is that way too. It has these dark undertones. I feel like this movie isn't that drastically different, but it did get me because I wasn't sure who the bad guy was, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen until the very end.
Do Pokemon have souls? Because that's the question I want to know. Where do their souls go when you become one thing?
What I don't understand is, why do they have to be enraged in order for them to be fused? Is it because they have a lesser brain function?
This movie raised more questions.
I honestly thought this was going to go the Monsters, Inc. way, where it was we get children to scream for power, except laughter is actually even more powerful. You know what I mean? We have to make the Pokemon angry to make them powerful so we could turn into them. Actually, if they were happy, it would be even better. I don't know. For some reason, I started seeing it as having Monsters, Inc. flashbacks.
thought it was such a weird angle to take. Like, I just don't, like, it wasn't really foreshadowed that they could transform people into Pokemon. And then, like, the whole, like, oh, I'm in a wheelchair, so then I need to, like, take out my rage in the whole world. Just had, like, put a really bad taste in my mouth in terms of, like, you know, disability rights and stuff like that, where I'm like, oh, hey, like, the first...
Well, that's the thing, because you know, it starts off, you know, with... I'm not going to go to the whole movie, but, like, your first introduction to... what is his name? I should have looked at this. Howard Clifford, who built this city, Rhyme City, which is a city where Pokemon and people can coexist. There are no Pokeballs. There's no Pokemon fighting. It's outlawed, and they're supposed to work together in harmony. True, you know, like, peaceful city. Apparently, this is the only city in the entire goddamn world that does this. Anyway, Howard, though, he's introduced as this guy who's striving for perfection, and like the next, you know, evolutionary step between humans and Pokemon. And you're like, okay. And then he got, like, there was an accident, he got crippled. Not that you see it, but like he that's his backstory. And then he's like, but even though he, you know, was dealt a low blow, or life dealt him a low blow, he's still fighting for peace and prosperity for everyone. And it's just like, okay, this guy is totally gonna, like, try and fix himself. And then you brush it off because they mislead you on who the really bad guy is. Like shifting the camera towards his son because he's just a fucking asshole. And you just assume, well, he's a fucking asshole, so he has to be the bad guy. I don't know. It was an interesting thing to see on screen.
Yeah, there was a bit of logical hand waving, and I realize you have to do that in a children's movie anyway. But to the fact that it was like, oh, these mysterious characters were just Ditto the whole time. It was like, oh, cool.
I kind of loved the Ditto showing up at the end.
I did love the Ditto. I can't believe that they had done that, because, you know, because people might not know, but like Ditto is supposed to replicate things perfectly, except for there's one Ditto in Pokemon, the anime. There's one Ditto in an episode where he can't replicate Pokemon perfectly. Like, the eyes are always the Ditto's eyes, always. And I loved how they did that for this movie. But I don't know if that was because, like, readability, or if it was just like a throwback to that one episode, like, not all Ditto can replicate people perfectly.
I do see what you're saying, though, like, Rebecca, where it's like a little bit of like, we're gonna play real fast and loose with what Dittos can do. And like, in this world of corporate espionage, like, wouldn't everyone be using Dittos? Like, is this like the next Replicant, except for they're all Dittos? Like,
I do feel like my feelings of the movie were colored by the fact that I have zero emotional ties to Pokemon as a franchise.
Yeah, so how did you like the movie then? Because me and Olivia love Pokemon, so like we might have that nostalgia glasses on.
I mean, I thought the movie was fine. I thought the plot was stupid, and I did not like the humans. Like, to me, the part that I, like, after having watched that movie, what I really want is to sit down and watch a Richard Attenborough narrated Planet Earth featuring the herds of migratory Bulbasaurs. Like, that's what I want, because, like,
that would be
the
amazing.
Cubone in the beginning that was just crying, like, that was so adorable. I love him, and the Psyduck, and, you know, like, I like the Pokemon as creatures, and they all, like, even the Psyduck I thought had a great personality and was really well animated, but, like, the human nonsense to me was stupid. And I left that movie being like, I think it just required having that feeling, you know what I mean? Because when it was over, I was sitting there and thinking to myself, like, this was not a good movie. And there was a group of people next to me, because I went to, like, a very late Alamo Drafthouse showing, so it was almost all adults at that point. And there was a group of people next to me who I'm pretty sure were about my age. And they got up, and as they walked by me, they were just like, oh my god, that was amazing! I can't believe, like, oh, imagine what a world would be like if it had Pokemon. And I just, like, that was completely lost on me, because I was like, I don't really care. And I couldn't even name half the Pokemon I saw in that movie. I know Ditto, I know Mewtwo, I know Charmander, Charizard. There was a couple that I'm like, I don't know what that is. Those monkeys, with the crazy monkeys, were those Grookies? What were those? I don't know those.
The Apoms?
Okay, sure.
They were second generation.
Oh, okay. You could,
so they came after 151.
You could tell me their name was Butt Toots, and I'd be like, sure, that sounds like a that sounds like a Pokemon. So I like What were the Pokemon that, like, so when they followed the herd of Bulbasaurs and they were like little floaty Pokemon, they were like fairies, but they were like mushrooms? What were those?
So those are newer, I think. Those came out with Sun
Those were
and
the ones
Moon,
I didn't know either.
Okay.
I thought they were like floettes, but I don't think that's correct because I think floettes are like flowers.
Well, they had those little mushroom dudes, and they had the keychain guys too, and literally from Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yeah, like
I don't know what they're called.
I want this, like, the concept of a society where humans and Pokemons live together as equals, and like to the point where the one Pokemon with like 8 arms was directing traffic because obviously he has 8 arms, and that would be great. Like, I want to see that, but taken to its like full logical thing of like the candelabra Pokemon is a lighting fixture and the keyring Pokemon is what, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much of that out there that, like, I don't know. I just don't care about people. This is the bottom line. Like, every time I play a Pokemon game, I want it to be like a me collecting my Pokemon and then living with them happily ever after on a farm somewhere, which isn't the game. So that's the.
Well, I was reading a little bit about like the limitations that Nintendo placed upon the movie creators, like specifically the Lickitung thing. I think Kotaku reported on this, or Polygon, where they were talking about how Nintendo was almost like, you can't have the Lickitung lick his face. Like, that's like too sexual and strange.
Oh, they really went there though.
Yeah, and I think it was on Giant Bomb, or it was on one of the podcasts I listened to, where they were talking about how, you know, this being a world where like Pokemon fights are outlawed could maybe have something to do with like the fact that you're basically cockfighting with Pokemon, and maybe that like for a movie that's going to be mass audience, we don't want to like really show that, you know,
right.
Like we're trying to
Except
make this
that's
a more
kind
like
of what Pokemon is, though, right? I mean, that
totally
is what the games are.
Well, and I wonder like what this movie would be like if the American like director and like production staff were just like, we could just go crazy with Pokemon, whatever. Like, I feel like that movie would have been a lot wilder and a lot more dirty jokes happening.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, could they build a universe around this? Like, is Detective Pikachu the Iron Man of the of the Pokemon universe? Like, it starts the PCU.
I don't know. I hope not.
I definitely want more. I definitely want another movie in this style. It's so stupid, but I really want the fucking Ash Ketchum goddamn story with him. Maybe I don't want a movie. Maybe what I want is not a movie, and it's another fucking like Netflix series with Ash Ketchum and like the fucking first story with him in Pallet Town. And like you can have the first season be Ash Ketchum, and then like, I don't know, move on to other fucking people in the series. And I don't know. That's what I want, but that is not what's going to happen. So
it's too bad, because I feel like that story is the most compelling, and of all of the Pokemon stuff, like, that's the one that even I know, because I remember having seen the anime, and I know Gary Oak and Brock and Misty and Nurse Joy, and you know what I mean? Like, I know all those characters, so even somebody who didn't know shit about Pokemon could still, I think, get some enjoyment out of that. Where it is interesting that they picked Detective Pikachu of like all the games in the franchise as being the one where the Pikachu talks. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, they did allude. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I mean, they did allude to they alluded to the very first movie, Pokemon, the first movie, because they were like 20 years ago when Mewtwo escaped, and that was the first movie. So that this universe and that anime universe coexist. It's all the same. It's all the same place. So it's not like this is a completely separate universe where like Mewtwo was not created or was created by, you know, Clifford Howard or whatever his name was. Mewtwo was already created 20 years ago. So it is kind of like they moved that timeline pretty much, you know, adjacent to our world timeline. So who knows if they're going to like just leave Ash Ketchum behind and just start a brand new with Detective Pikachu or something. Who knows?
Have y'all seen Pokemon Generations? Like the little like short animated.
Yes. No.
Yes.
I really liked that series. Yeah, it's like a short, like it's in the same style as like the other animes, but it's basically they're taking key moments from like the actual Pokemon games and then animating them.
Aw, that's
so
cute.
like the first episode is like, oh, Blue catches like a Pikachu, and then it does like the fight in Black where I didn't play Black, but it just kind of goes through like all of these different moments. Like it does the Gyarados fight in Gold and Silver, like with the raging Gyarados, like the red Gyarados. And so it's like really cool, and it's like really well animated for what it is. So I would definitely recommend it. I think it's all on YouTube.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, they're really good. They're only 4 or 6 episodes long, and they're really well animated. Like it's Pokemon, but it's like Naruto in a sense, you know. If I can like make that equation, like, you know, Naruto, very well animated and like very adult, even though it is like a Shonen Jump geared towards children cartoon or anime, I should say. It's still very adult. That's the Pokemon generations.
Okay, so can I ask a question of the Pokemon masters in this room? Who are not in this room, but just, you know, anyway. So the fact that Meowth talks as a person in the anime, does that mean that he is someone in a Meowth body?
Haha.
Explain
in the anime,
Meowth to me.
Well, no, because so in the anime, the reason why Meowth can talk is because he was, as a kitten, as a little Meowth, he was abandoned, and then someone adopted him, and he actually was in a orphanage, and so he learned how to talk at the orphanage. Now this is like 20 years ago, guys, so like if I'm wrong, I'm really sorry. This is just my memory fucking up, but from what I remember, he was at the orphanage and he learned how to speak English, because if he didn't know how to speak English, then he couldn't survive. And like just over a period of time, he learned to speak the human language, and that's what happened. So like he is an anomaly in himself, so he can talk to both, you know, people and Pokemon also, I guess.
Whatever happened to
the spirit.
Pokemon understand what you want in your heart. They don't understand your words, but they understand what you mean.
Well,
some feely dealy bullshit.
Meowth knows what you're saying, and he'll call you a bitch.
Maybe what I needed all along was for Meowth to call me a bitch.
He'll knock that glass off the table and say, "That's because you're a bitch."
I think I want Detective Meowth now. I don't want Detective Pikachu. I want Detective Meowth.
I would love to see an old school Team Rocket like just gag movie. With them trying to do things in film.
It would be. The kids would like that. More Pokemans and stuff. I also thought that Jigglypuff was going to have a larger part in the movie based on the trailer,
I know, right?
But then Jigglypuff was in it for like 2 seconds.
That thing is an abomination. So I'm happy we saw a little of it, because I did not like that Jigglypuff design.
No, I did not either.
It was very.
What's going to happen to those Torterras?
Yeah,
the giant Torterras,
the giant ones. Yeah, Can we talk about that scene, because it was really weird.
They just got up and sat back down again. It's all fine.
Did the angles of like, because I usually like try to pay attention when like a movie has the thing, and it seems like the whole like logic of the shots where it's like, oh, we're running sideways, oh, we're going and jumping across this thing, and it seemed like at a certain point they stopped making sense. I don't know if you guys noticed that at all. Okay,
that's what I'm saying. It turned Inception. Like, I understand if you're on this gigantic like continent-sized Tortuga or whatever. It's not Tortuga. It's turtle in Spanish, though. Anyway, point being, if you're on this gigantic like landmass turtle or Pokemon, who like when they stand uproots the earth, it's not gonna go like Inception and like just turn 180. Like that would imply that the Pokemon is literally like on their side, which is not what happens. Like, you'd feel a rumble, you'd probably fall to your, on the ground, but like the land wouldn't suddenly like turn 90 degrees angle because the turtle stood up. Like, that scene was really confusing to follow.
Definitely. And I was like imagining like, okay, they're kind of like looking at like the ground is breaking because the turtle's so big, and also like you're seeing his side, and that's what the, Inception like thing is. But just like the whole like order of the shots just didn't make sense to me, where it's like, oh, we're gonna jump across this thing and now we're falling down, but also we're going up, and I'm like, the laws of gravity no longer apply in Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah.
Like things just seem all over the place.
Distance was really messed up because it seemed like they fell a really long way and then were like back at the lab in 2 seconds. I realize that's editing, but it was also sort of like, I'm sorry, this didn't put you like 10 miles away. What happened here?
What's going to happen to them? Are they going to be okay?
I mean, I hope so.
I mean, they're just mountains now, right? So
That seems kind of unfortunate.
Pokemon die?
well, yeah, because Cubone's mom died and he's wearing her skull.
But he was still crying about his mom dying, and the skull was like bleached white. So,
And Pokemon,
what are the mechanics about Pokemon dying?
they just KO, right? They can't
Do they
actually
become
die.
bones? I've opened up a can of worms here that I'm not ready to handle.
So okay, I mean, if we're gonna if we're gonna think about this, so if what are they called again? The turtles?
Proteras?
Torteras. Thank you. If they're that big, that means that they need a proportionate size amount of food to sustain their energy. And not
that means they're all gonna starve.
It's either they
Or they're gonna
starve
rampage,
or they
become
eat the
Godzilla.
entire forest.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
a
Give me that
day.
movie.
So more than likely they're probably dead. But you know what? It's Magic World of Pokemon. So
It's okay, they're all
but
dead.
the good news is I mean, they died in their mountains, right? So what's the difference? Mountain doesn't move, neither does a dead.
Oh my god, this is so bad. This is so terrible.
I feel like
don't know.
Pokemon, the movie doesn't, like the animated movies don't raise these hard questions.
No.
And that's
No,
what,
they don't.
so, I prefer those ones. Although I did love this movie. I love Ryan Reynolds, so it's really hard for me to not like this movie.
Yeah.
And I love Pokemon.
I thought it was an okay movie for what it was. I wasn't like super ecstatic leaving the movie theater, but I wasn't disappointed. I was like, that was, definitely worth my time. Like, I don't mind paying the $10 or whatever to see it and spending the hour and 20 minutes, sitting there. But it wasn't like I'm already kind of forgetting things that have happened. Like the fight scene, the underground Pokemon fight scene.
Which was very loud for it being illegal. They had like a lot of infrastructure for that being an illegal thing.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm upset that Magikarp turned into Gyarados for 2.5 seconds, and that was it. And that's it. That's all you're there for. And doesn't he die after that? I know Gyarados can breathe out of the water, but he got to be in water at some point. What happened to that Gyarados?
This all goes back to my question of, can Pokemon die? So
I mean,
we need to talk to the source on this one.
Well, the answer is yes, they can die. The anime even says that they die because there's the ghost Pokemon. The ghost Pokemon are dead Pokemon.
Okay, but does the Cubone become, does a Marowak, which is a Cubone's mom, become a Ghastly after it dies? Or is Ghastly a totally separate thing?
No. Cubone's mother is a Kangaskhan.
Okay.
So when a Kangaskhan dies,
but they're totally different creatures. A Cubone doesn't grow to be a Kangaskhan, though. That doesn't make any sense.
No, but it's a Kangaskhan. No. It's a Kangaskhan, right?
Because a Marowak doesn't evolve into a Kangaskhan. That doesn't make sense. This is...
No, it's Olivia, it's like all squares are rectangles, but
me.
not all rectangles are squares. It's that kind of situation. So a Kangaskhan mom. Not all Kangaskhan moms die, but some do. Due to poaching. I believe that's what I'm serious. Pretty sure it's poaching that's what kills the Kangaskhan mom, and so the little baby Kangaskhan doesn't leave its mom's side. The mom body rots, and the Kangaskhan wears its mom's skull as familiarity and because it's really lonely. And then from there it's now Cubone, and then Cubone, even though it's a Kangaskhan, turns into Marowak because I don't know. Pokemon logic.
This is my problem here, where it's a Marowak doesn't become a Kangaskhan eventually, so that's the part where I'm dying a little bit, and then the Mega Kangaskhan, whenever the baby Kangaskhan gets out of its little pouch, it's totally different than what a Cubone looks like. So I don't know. This shit. I guess in Lavender Town there is a whole thing dedicated to dead Pokemon, so they must die, but it's not explained. Does my Pokemon die when I die because they're my pal? You know what I mean? Or do I get a new Psyduck every 5 years because my duck died?
that's
These are the questions I need to know the answer to.
That's a lot of Psyducks.
Do they eat Psyducks?
Oh no.
Do they eat Tauros? Can you get a Tauros burger?
Probably. How much autonomy are we giving Pokemon? Because if we're living in tandem with Pokemon, does that mean there's like Pokemon apartments? Like, where does the multi-arm traffic cop go at nighttime?
Does he get paid?
I bet he doesn't get paid. I bet he doesn't get paid. How do you pay a Pokemon in food and rent, like room and board? Do they?
But like
what do they do with money?
Ludicolo was working. I don't know. This is God.
Yeah.
I need an addiction. Where's the extended universe book?
Who did that Lickitung belong to? Anyway.
Brain Lickitung.
Well, so the reason why I didn't figure this out myself, but someone else had told me, or I listened to someone else talk about it. So Lickitung in their Pokedex says that he licks anything unfamiliar. So
was he the train conductor? Was he just like taking tickets?
I don't know if he was a train conductor. I think he was just
he would know who was sneaking onto that
Pokemon
train.
who frequents the trains, and he lives in Rhyme City, right? So he knows everyone on that train, except for Tim, which is why he licks him, because he doesn't know him. He's a new face. He's unfamiliar.
If a baby Lickitung, if its mom dies, does that become a Marowak?
I don't think that applies here.
I just imagine there are like Pokemon just like full ass going to work. Like what's the Pokemon that's like a bird with two heads and it's really tall like an ostrich?
Dugtrio.
Dugduo,
and then Dugtrio.
Sure. Is that the bird one or is that the one that's like Diglett?
That's the bird one. No, Diglett's different.
Okay.
The Duo is the bird.
Diglett's also the one that... Diglett's not the bird.
Okay.
No, I said Doduo is the bird.
Oh, dude, yes.
Oh, okay.
Doduo. I thought you said Diglett is the bird. And I was like, no, Diglett's not the bird.
So there were a couple of shots of Doduos like just crossing the street, like on their own, like without a human around.
I didn't
like
catch
minding
that.
their own goddamn business, so...
Do Pokemon shit? Because that's the thing I kept thinking about is like, where does all the shit go?
Oh, the infrastructure.
Because that whole place would just be covered in like just garbage. Poo.
Yeah, and like no one seemed upset when Pikachu was like running through their stalls and putting his hands on all their food. Everyone was just like, this is fine.
Maybe Pokemon have evolved beyond buttholes. And they don't need poop anymore. Maybe Pokemon don't produce waste, except for muck.
Is this the J.K. Rowling crossover where they can teleport their poop like away from them?
Who knows?
What house does Detective Pikachu belong to? Is Detective Pikachu a Gryffindor?
He's definitely Gryffindor.
Definitely.
Very courageous for a mouse.
Oh boy. All right, well, that was Detective Pikachu. I'm sure we'll be doing this again for Detective Pikachu 2. Because I realize that there's a lot of questions raised by the PCU that need answering. So we will see. Whew, all right. Y'all ready to do some salutations?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So salutations is a little thing that we do every month. No, we do it actually twice a month when we record every other week. I forgot.
Every episode.
It's been a little bit since we did this, so I forgot what we actually do on this. But a salutation is where we just give a shout out to something that we really like. It's a game, it's a movie, it's a grocery store. You know what? I don't care. There's no rules here. Just right. So, Olivia, would you like to get us started with your salutation?
Sure. Oh, excuse me. So I was at a Comic-Con this weekend, and that's where I bought those Amiibos, or a couple of Amiibos, and I also found this thing called a Strike Pack FPS Dominator. Have you guys heard of this before?
No. What is that?
Okay, so it's my salutation for this week. It's basically, so when I originally bought it, I was trying to get into playing competitive FPS games.
Hold on.
Uh-huh.
Is this my dream come true, where I can finally stop sucking at FPS games?
It is this is it. So like a couple months ago, I was like, I'm going to buy those stupid stick extenders. Like, I don't know exactly what they're called, but like the things that go like on your sticks, and they're supposed to be like pro gamers. You can aim really well. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like little like stick attachments to make them
like
longer.
Control Freaks?
Yes, those things. So I got some of those, and then I was watching a YouTuber who was talking about playing Overwatch on the PS4, and she was like, oh, I got this like strike pack thing, and it basically adds these little triggers to the bottom of my controller, so I don't have to take my hands off the sticks. I can just like map a button from like the face, like the X button to one of these triggers, and that way I can press X without having to move my finger. And I was like, cool. They're like $40 online. I'm at this Comic-Con. I see this guy has like a whole pack of them for like 10. Like you just get one for 10. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy one of these because that's a reasonable price and I don't have to pay shipping or anything. I plug it in, works pretty well. I start reading the guide, and apparently this thing also has like these cheats built into it.
Oh,
and they're like they're like pre-designed for like Call of Duty, because that's what I guess most people who buy them use it for. But it's like, oh, how to like, you can set it, and it's like this really complex system where it's like you shoot and then you fall to the ground, or like an aim auto assist. And I was trying to understand it. Yeah, and there's like a firmware on this thing, and I was updating the firmware, and I guess now they have a subscription service where you can buy like special packs for like Overwatch specifically was what I was looking at, where it's like, oh, like you buy this and it gives you aim assist on like all of the Overwatch characters, or like special modes where like Diva will always jump forward and explode when you press it. And it just seems like a lot, and like I just wanted it for the 2 triggers.
Yeah.
But diving into this weird world of like game hacks and like things that I didn't think existed on the PlayStation has kind of opened my mind. I haven't used them. I'm afraid to use them because if I'm going to get banned or something.
Yeah.
But just for like having 2 extra triggers at the bottom, it's pretty cool. I'd recommend it.
I will say that was, to me, like the best feature of the Steam controller was it had those bumpers on the bottom of the console so you could just click it with the fingers that were holding the controller. Like, that was good. Mm-hmm. That was cool design. But yeah, I would be afraid that you could get banned for this, like, immediately. Like, aim assist and like Overwatch competitive, I would think you would be out the door so fast.
Yeah. Well, I guess, like, it kind of hooks up, like, you have to connect it through a USB to your PS4. Mm-hmm. And then you also, it's, like, kind of a pain. You have to, like, attach it to your PS4. It's, like, a whole thing. But according to the things I read, they were saying that, like, you can't get banned because it just looks like controller inputs. Like, looks like you're just a really good player. So, I don't know. Maybe I should kind of...
Maybe this is why I suck at Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it has aim assist, that to me reads as it somehow deciphers where the hitbox is or like the headshots are on whatever game you're playing.
I think what it is like it'll try to adjust for the gun. Like it'll make it so that you'll shoot straight. That's my understanding, because there's like, it's really weird.
Shoot straight?
Well, like, you know how some guns like will go up? Like in Call of Duty, for example, if you're shooting, like it kind of like you have to adjust your aim. So I think it's kind of like, because you have to like kind of fuck with the settings a little bit to be like, oh, I'm using, like for Call of Duty, you have to like, I'm using this gun with this loadout. And there's a whole like scripting, it's not scripting, but a whole like settings system that's really weird and strange.
Got it.
I don't know. I thought it was
so,
cool.
Like it'll basically, since the gun goes up, it'll automatically push the gun down. Like
Correct,
it'll input as if you were pushing down, even though you aren't. Got it.
And like I was looking at one for Ash, where it's like Ash has a thing where this is an Overwatch where like you shoot and like you can't hold down the trigger. Like she doesn't have an automatic gun. You have to like fan the trigger to actually make her shoot a bunch. And you just hold it down and it automatically shoots forward and then auto reloads.
Wow.
So this is completely cheating. Yeah, it's completely cheating. You shouldn't use it online. I just thought it was a cool thing. And I was like, wow, I didn't know this world existed.
I might have to invest in that just for my single player campaign FPSs because I fucking suck at them. So
wink wink.
It's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, the more you know, knowledge is power. Tyler, what's your salutation for this week?
Well, it's one, I won't be able to use those Dominator sticks for Diablo 3, which is what I am currently playing and also recommend this week for my salutation. Diablo 3 came out long time ago being like, I don't know, 2012. Is that right?
I think
2013 or something like that.
I think it was like, I want to say 11. Because it was...
All right, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I think it was the summer of 2011.
It's been a long time. Anyway, so I'm back into Diablo 3, and if you have played the game in the past and haven't returned to it, right now they're on, it's called a season 17. Basically, a season is when you roll a character, a fresh character, or you can like re-roll, or you can, they call it renew a character, where you can take your pre-existing character and basically level them back down to 1 and get rid of all of their armor and whatever you have equipped on them. Anyway, point is, everyone is level playing field on this new season, and you basically climb leaderboards. First, leveling from 1 to 70, and then once you're level 70, then you climb the greater rift leaderboards. And Blizzard itself has really, really polished Diablo 3 now. Like, even with this new season, with their newest patch and everything, they've done a lot of quality of life updates since, like, the game first released. And then, like, quote-unquote re-released because the first game was really rough. And then, like, the second, their big patch update after they were initially released totally changed it completely, and now it's much better for it, at least in my opinion. Some people might disagree. But anyway, this new patch, this new season, is really enjoyable. I've actually played for like maybe 10 hours or so, and I've like almost finished the season itself. There's a lot of achievements that you can do to get these really nice cosmetic wings. And I'm very surprised with the progress I've made, and I just really love it. It's a game that I will probably always play forever, and I don't know, I just really like it. Have you guys played any Diablo 3?
I have not.
I played a little bit of it on the PC. Like, I played through the normal campaign, but that was like a couple years ago. And then they added all this other stuff, like the rifts or whatever. I'm not 100% sure.
Yes.
And that seems like totally new and weird.
Yes. And Rebecca, you said you haven't.
I have not played it at all. I couldn't even tell you what a Diablo does, other than demons. And
it's one of the demon lords.
There's a cow level, I believe.
Yes.
There is no cow level.
I'm glad you have that. I was gonna say.
I only know the important parts.
You know that there is not a cow level. Okay. Well, so I feel like, Olivia, you should at least jump in with me and explore this new like season system, because it's really, I know that Diablo itself, the campaign, is, I wouldn't say it's the best. Like, I don't know, I enjoyed the campaign, but it's not like it's groundbreaking storytelling. And if you've played Diablo games in the past, you kind of know how it's gonna end up. But the game itself, I feel, is like pretty fluid and like butter. Like, it's so smooth. And it's called Adventure. It's an adventure mode, which is basically after you're done with the campaign, you can hop into this adventure mode, and it's just you rolling around, jumping into rifts and stuff, slaying these monsters upon monsters upon monsters, and getting epic loots and legendaries, and like getting more powerful. Diablo's become really ridiculous to the point where, when they rolled out this adventure mode, they weren't really sure what they were doing with it yet. They just wanted to make sure like people could still play the game and like have a rewarding experience. And then they introduced rifts, and then they introduced greater rifts, and rifts are just basically just like a little dungeon where the more monsters you kill, you fill up this little meter. Once the meter fills up all the way, the like dungeon boss is summoned, and he'll drop like a lot of loot and shit. The greater lit rift is just the leaderboard version of rifts, where you are competing against everyone in the world playing Diablo 3 for times to beat and like highest rift progression. So right now, in this season alone, I think people are in the 90s. In worldwide, people are like 150 rift or something like that, 130 rift level, which doesn't like, it's an arbitrary number to someone who doesn't really play Diablo 3, doesn't know what it's about, but that's really high. Like, that's the highest difficulty that you can get to in Diablo right now is we'll say it's tier 13, 16 now, and that's rift level 75, and so that means that they are like in tier 20 or 30, which is like, again, rift level 130 or something. Anyway, I'm having a blast playing it. Olivia, if you want to jump in and get those wings, hit me up, because
I want to get the wings. I want to play with you specifically at the wings.
Yeah, I can totally just power level you, so you don't have to worry about leveling to 1 to 70, because that's the most boring part of the entire game, is leveling, actually. But anyway, I enjoy it. That is my game, Diablo 3.
Cool.
Rebecca.
Yes.
what is your salutation?
So my salutation for this week is a weird little art game that I've been playing called Ritual of the Moon. Ritual of the Moon is a student game that released not that long ago. I am uncertain of the release timeline, so don't quote me on this. I just know that I'm playing it on my iPhone. I think it just came out on my iPhone earlier this year or late last year. But Ritual of the Moon is very interesting because it is a narrative point-and-click game that is played in 5-minute increments over 28 real-life days. It's over a full lunar cycle. And so the gist of the game is that you are playing as a witch who has been exiled to the moon because of her powers, essentially, and it has split her off from everybody that she knew, including the woman that she loved, and now she's forced to spend the rest of her life basically watching Earth from the moon. And so the sequence of gameplay is very straightforward. You log in, you'll get a piece of dialogue of the witch sort of talking to herself, and she's trying to work out what's happening to her. She's kind of trying to work out her feelings as to what has been going on. And then you go inside to her spaceship and you perform a ritual at her altar. And usually this involves interacting with different objects. It involves doing some very light kind of puzzle drawing. And then you're given a mantra for that day. And that can be anything from, sort of compartmentalizing your strength, like compartmentalizing your worth, and then the game sort of ends with a comet is heading towards Earth, and you have the ability to either use your powers to move it away from Earth or let it hit the Earth. And so there's a lot of animosity that this witch is revealed as having towards the Earth, and so there's instances where, depending on how you interact with that story and how that feels to you, you may want to have Earth be destroyed. I don't know. There are 6 different endings, and the game will move on without you if you don't play it. So if you don't play it for a day, it just keeps going, and there isn't a way to go back to that day or to replay that day. So it's very, very interesting. It's very meditative. It is an interesting way to kind of explore loss. It's a very interesting way to explore kind of ritual and mood, and you can use it as almost like a mood tracker. It's meant to be very much like a self-reflection, like a time to check in, a time to kind of meditate with a game. And so I don't know, it's very weird. It has a very specific art style that's done as like, it's almost stop motion animated, like art, like stop motion paper craft and wood carvings and burnings and like kind of weird mixed metals stuff that's all been animated together into this thing, and it has a very haunting kind of creepy soundtrack to it. It's really fascinating, and it's really compelling out of the gate. I'm on day 9 of a 28-day lunar cycle, so I don't know what's to come. So I'm interested to see what happens. So far, I've only saved the Earth. So I don't know. Maybe if I keep playing it over 28-day cycles, I can try different, let the Earth be destroyed, let it not be destroyed, whatever, and see kind of what that does. But it's really awesome. The team is mostly women. It's very feminist. It's a really good feeling game to play, and it's very memorable. You know what I mean? So I definitely recommend it. You can get it on Steam and on iOS as well. Maybe Android, but I'm not sure.
I'm looking at the pictures related to this, and it looks amazing. It looks super cool, the look of the game on its own.
Yeah.
So this looks awesome. Thank you.
It's really, really cool. It's a really interesting way to, I don't know, combine. I don't know. It's just I've never seen, I guess because I feel like the concept of witchcraft, quote unquote, is very cool right now. So to the fact that I think Urban Outfitters sells smudging kits or whatever, and that feels kind of weird because a lot of that is rooted in cultural stuff for Native Americans, and I don't know if it's 100% cool that people do that, but it was an interesting way to approach the topic of what does witchcraft mean, from the sense of it being a meditative, a sort of self-reflective, a finding one's worth in unfortunate circumstances and within a greater, universe. And so I think it's a really cool experiment, and I definitely recommend playing it. It's very light, and I like playing it on my iPhone because it sends me a push notification, before I go to bed in case I've forgotten to do it. So I have been able to continue to kind of tinker at it. So 19 days left. We'll see what happens when I get to the end. So definitely check it out.
We'll need to like check in at the end. I want to know like what happens if you've decided to destroy the Earth now that you've seen it both. Like what was more appetizing?
Yeah, I almost didn't do it this week because I was thinking about waiting until I had done the full cycle, but it was like, it's been too cool to not share. So I just feel like I had to tell somebody like, this is really weird and cool. And it's this thing that I really like. So I'll check in and maybe not I guess maybe our next podcast I might be done. I don't know. We'll see. Or I'll be close to done. Well, that brings us to a brand new segment. We've just had lots of new segments and returning segments this time on the old Greetings from Podcast. We recently opened a
Keep it fresh and funky.
we recently opened a voicemail inbox in which real life people can call us and leave us real life voicemails and ask us real life questions or just say hey. So you can call us if you would like. Our phone number is +1 347 642 6377. That's +1 firm gamers. It's not hard to remember. We're all firm gamers here, and so are you when you call into the Greetings from Podcast. So Olivia, I'm pretty sure we got a pretty sweet voicemail to play today.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to play this. You tell me if you can hear.
All right.
Oh, come on, thing. You can do it. I believe in you.
Hey, what up, gamers? Just calling in, leave a voicemail. Just wanted to preach some knowledge. I know y'all already know, but I just had to get something off my chest. A lot of people don't seem to understand. Gamers just through rigorous amount of training that we have developed and done over the years. We have more stamina than the average male. A lot of people think that doesn't mean anything, but that means like prolonged ejaculations and harder erections. We last longer in bed, and that means more powerful orgasms for the both of us.
Oh my god!
And possibly even female ejaculation. If you don't believe me, people will never know if they don't try. Again, just preaching the knowledge. I know y'all already know, but rise up, gamers. Thanks.
So I listened to this beforehand just to make sure. Ooh. Thank you, Anonymous, for calling in and letting us know about. I think there's really a question here. Like, are gamers better lovers? And I'm gonna say probably. Who knows? I can't judge.
If they have the chance to initiate coitus, perhaps.
If they have the chance, that sounds so daunting.
Sorry, that's really like stereotypical and offensive. Gamers have sex too.
Gamers fuck, bro.
That's what they keep telling us.
Oh my god, that was good.
It doesn't even need to be a question in the voicemail box. Like I would just like to hear your 3 a.m. stories.
Yeah.
Like, let's just totally ape this from the Giant Bong spoiler whatever thing.
Honestly, if we got enough of these voicemails, we could run our own Gamers Rise Up like Love Line episode, like Greetings from After Dark. You know what I mean?
I wish. Yes.
So yeah.
Can I get a misconnection? Gamers misconnection. You logged on. I saw your name, and then you logged off.
Looking for RuneScape GF.
I saw XX Boner Guy 69 XX, and we had a great connection. Please call me.
That was really good.
Shoutouts to the guy who headshot me. I can read between the lines.
Yeah.
Hit me up.
I'll give you a head something.
Oh my god.
We did do an entire Valentine's Day episode about got really into detail about what characters we would fuck. So I'm pretty sure this is all well
We've
within.
done this to ourselves.
This is within the wheelhouse of the content that we're here to provide. It's our niche in the market. It's the R-rated video games podcast that you didn't want but got anyway. That was good. So yeah, call us Firm Gamers. That's the only number you need to know because it's the only number that matters. Put it into your address book, your phone thing. I don't know. Do people memorize like phone numbers anymore? Well, that's ours, and you should memorize that one. So
ours is easy to remember. It's Firm Gamers.
Yeah.
Are you firm? Yes. Are you a gamer? Maybe.
You might not be a gamer, but you're absolutely firm.
Oh my god.
Very firm.
Please save me from this podcast. End it, dear God.
Okay.
You know what? I'm very surprised that no one asked a Mr. Mime question. So I'm grateful for that.
Next time.
You say that like I
Next
can't
time.
call into our own voicemail inbox about Mr. Mime's dance time mime crimes.
Maybe.
Don't try me, because I will do it.
Why didn't you?
It's all about the element of surprise. You never know. You don't know, but one day, when you're least expecting it, when Mr. Mime is far into the realms of someone else's thoughts, I'll be there.
When we thought we had finally moved on.
I'll be waiting with Mr. Mime Dance Time Mime Crimes. And I'll be calling. I'll be calling about the torture that was unfairly leveled upon Mr. Mime. All right, so this has been a...
Mime's rise up.
Mime's rights.
Mime right.
Wow, this is a garbage podcast. Well, thanks for joining me here on this episode of the Greetings from Podcast. You can find us wherever podcasts are hosted, like Apple Podcasts, Simplecast, Spotify, and others. Send us your questions to greetingsfromcast@gmail.com or call us at +1firmgamers. Visit us online at greetingsfrom.zone. Follow us on Twitter at greetingsfrompc. Follow us on Twitch at greetingsfrompc. We stream every other Friday. My name is Rebecca Faye, and you can find me at Rebecca Faye. Olivia, where can they find you?
At LiveJQ. Tyler, where can they find you?
You can find me saving Mr. Mime, world jumping online.
Mr. Mime Dance Time! Forever!
Can't do the crime. Don't be the mime.
Oh, jeez, that was good. Congrats, gamers! You made it to the end! Thanks for listening to the Greetings From Podcast. Our intro and outro song is an edited version of Deep Fried Space Food by Substitute Sandwiches. You can find a link to the song, along with links to all the stuff we talked about this week, in the podcast description. Find us online at greetingsfrom.zone, where you can listen to more episodes, find out more about your dangerously good-looking and charming hosts, and catch up on our blog. You can also follow us on Twitch and Twitter at greetingsfrompc. Send your questions, messages, or anything you'd like to greetingsfromcast@gmail.com or call us direct at 347-642-6377. Until next time, happy playing!